the thing is, I'll tell you the same as what I tell people on my channel. I'll tell you the same as what I'll tell people I meet on a day-to-day basis in everyday life, is that there is certainly a phenomena at play. Now, it could be multiple phenomena, but I believe truly that they are not oblivious to each other. Whatever it is, wherever they're coming from, and whatever their intentions are, these things somehow know of each other. The paranormal knows about the Bigfoot phenomena. The Bigfoot phenomena has some connection to the UFO and extraterrestrial phenomena, and so on and so forth. Now, I don't know if there's ever going to be a day where I can prove this without any doubt whatsoever. But what I will tell you is that it's real. It's real. Hi guys, thank you for joining me back here again on the 401 Files. I just wanted to really make this clear, is that the footage you're about to see now was filmed before the passing of Tallulah. And I guess I'm explaining this because obviously before that passing of Tallulah I was quite upbeat, happy and out there doing my thing. I didn't want you guys to think, oh my god, like he's got over Tallulah really quick, because that would hurt me a lot. So yeah, I don't know why I have to mention this. I just am. But yeah, the footage was filmed before Tallulah. I am out now. This is, I think, 12 days after the passing of what was an amazing creature. And, yeah, an amazing dog. So I'm back out now and filming again for you guys. I wanted you to know that, yeah, I just wanted you to know that that was before Tallulah left this place, so... Hi guys, welcome back to the 401 Files. It's an absolute pleasure, as I always say, to be joined by so many like-minded people from all around the world. Now this channel, is your one and only go-to place for anything that you need thought-provoking. Things like UFOs and extraterrestrials, strange cryptids like the Dogman and Bigfoot, and the paranormal as well, can all be found here on this channel. So if you are new here, please do subscribe, stick around, and become a valued member of the 401 Files family. Without further ado, guys, please do kick back, relax, and enjoy. So the purpose of today's video is to venture out as far as I can. I'm just going to walk miles and miles and miles. I might even clock it on my watch so you guys can see. And those miles will be made up through very dense, thorny, spiky parts of the national park. Places that are off the beaten track. Places that you can guarantee have never been ventured through, if at all, for many, many, many years. And I'm going to do that with the sole purpose of trying to find a balloon. A balloon, you ask? Why? Well, because I've noticed that when I'm out exploring, I usually come across balloons. Now, that on itself, or by itself, sorry, is not a big deal, right? But 9 times out of 10, these balloons have another point of interest in very close proximity. It could be a possible print, it could be some weird tree structure, or a kill, like a deer dead there on the floor, or something. There is always something around these balloons, and that to me is very coincidental. Now, this national park is 554 square miles from here to the coast of just open wooded areas, valleys, you name it. And so for me to venture off the beaten track almost every single time that I'm out filming and find a balloon, I'm not sure what the statistics are on that, but I'm assuming it would be quite rare. Most of the time, if not all the time, the balloons I find are not up in trees, they're not snagged on branches, they're down on the ground, usually pushed under the root cavity of a tree, or laid under a rock, things that just don't make sense. Now, the reason I'm going into detail like this, and the reason you might be thinking, where are you going with this? What does this mean? What are you actually trying to insinuate? It's this. Are the balloons being used as some kind of a point of interest? You know, when I was in the army and we'd look at a map, we'd usually try to find a point of interest, whether that be a church, a river, a lake, whatever it may be, just so we can navigate where we are in real time and space using the map and this point of interest. Now, are the balloons serving a similar purpose? I have no idea. I wish that from the start finding these balloons, I'd have been keeping them on me, taking them back home and keeping a log of what it is that I'm finding, what colour it is, does it have a cord attached to it, where did I find it, what time of day was it, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to do that today. I'm purposely going to go out and we're going to see if we can find a balloon and see if there's anything of note around it in the surrounding area, in the immediate area. Do you know what would be really weird? Is if like 5 minutes into the video, I find a balloon, because then you guys would be like, oh yeah, he's obviously just put that there, and I don't want that. But at the same time, I can't help it, so I will document it. If I do find a balloon within 10 minutes of being out, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to document everything as I always do, in a journal type format. Everything that pops into my mind, I will say. Everything that I see, I will film on camera. So that's the kind of content you get here. It's very much like a journal entry. And as I've said before, you guys seem to appreciate that. You guys seem to like listening to my internal dialogue and being the fly on the wall, so to speak. So I was recently given a Polaroid camera by my brother, and I'm so desperate to get some film for that and start using it. And we all know, right? Okay, we all know that Polaroid quality is terrible. It's very nostalgic, very vintage, retro, and in low light conditions, it sucks. But there is something beautiful to be found in the way. I was going to say that it sucks, but that wouldn't sound good. I'm not going to say it would. Yeah, forget that. There's something beautiful to be found in how terrible the quality is, and I don't know what that is. Is it the nostalgic feeling that it gives, you know, back in the day growing up? That's what images look like. Is it that we get from it, or is there a creepiness to it as well? I always think when I look back at Polaroid images, it reminds me of like crime documentaries. They always throw up some old 80s photos of the serial killer growing up. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I can't wait to use it, especially for these explores. I'm going to create a little album and jot down times and dates, places where I've been. I think it'll be nice. It'll be a nice little touch. So we're about 20, 25, 30 minutes into the explore, and no balloon as of yet. But this is part of the fun, right? When I usually find a balloon, I'm never usually going out to find one, and I do. So it will be interesting to see if, with the intent of finding a balloon, leads me to one or not. But we shall see. Okay, so I'm not sure 100% what to make of the balloon phenomenon, or even if there is a balloon phenomenon. I'm not even sure if there is anything remotely weird behind it. But I do know that many of the researchers from around the world are joining very similar dots. I also know that I do find them, and often in very unusual circumstances. But ultimately, as always, you guys will have the final say. So it's just started to rain, which is giving this really nice creepy mist through the forest. I kind of like that. I don't know why, I just do. I think it's quite creepy. I'm still no closer to finding a balloon, but I don't know if that adds to the weirdness of it all. You know, like the fact that when I want to purposely go find one, I can, and when I don't, I do. I don't know. Is there any meaning to that? Again, we always run the risk of thinking too much into things, but it's just been a nice little mission, a nice little quest to purposely go out and try and find one. I'm still on the lookout though, and as of now, no such luck, but we will keep looking, we will keep going. And while we're out in these areas, which is a hotspot anyway, who knows, we might find something besides a balloon that is even more valuable in terms of evidence and data. Something really exciting happening here in the UK at the minute. and that is that the big cat sightings are on the rise. A lot of people now coming forward who used to be skeptics, claiming that they have seen a big cat 100% for sure. And I think I even read one article last week that said it's now been proven by DNA. There was a kill made down in the Lake District, or up in the Lake District from where I am, and it was from a sheep carcass. They found DNA that belonged to what they believe was a big cat. So I don't know how true that is. I'm just telling you guys what is happening here, the reports that are coming out. People are reporting more and more big cats here in the UK. Now, I've still yet to see one. I have no proof that they are here, that they are breeding. I do have doubts, I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of on the fence. I don't doubt people's experiences. I don't doubt that people might have seen things. But until I do, I'm allowed my opinion. I'll tell you why I think this way, okay? I'll tell you why I'm a bit on the fence. For anybody that disputes this, please do comment below. You're more than welcome to open my eyes to a new way of thinking. In fact, I urge you all to do that, because there's going to be people right now listening to this saying, Ben, you're so wrong, blah, 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 blah. And I love that. I don't want you all to think the same as me. You're all allowed your own opinion. Please do share it below. But this is why I think the way I do, okay? In places like Canada, in parts of the world where there are huge packs of wolf thriving, this is how it works usually. If they have a good year, plenty of kills are made, the pack is thriving, it's getting bigger, it's getting stronger, there is plenty of food around, it's in abundance, the bitches naturally the following year will produce more pups because times are good. Here in the UK, I can't think of a better situation for them to thrive. We have badgers, foxes, deers, sheep, cows, you name it. Food here for a big cat is in abundance. It's plentiful, it's everywhere, and it's easy to get to. There's no competition whatsoever. And they must be in breeding pairs, right? They've been reported since before the 50s. So they must be a breeding pair of these big cats somewhere. Now, they would have produced a large litter of pups given the abundance of food that they have readily available, and therefore they must have grown up and become a breeding pair and so on and so forth. We would see far more of these things, these big cats, than we're being told. Why aren't we? Why is it still a taboo subject? Why is it still are they, aren't they? Surely it would be fact by now, given the length of time, the amount of food available, and the fact that bitches in a pack, in a pride, whatever it may be, would produce double the amount of pups normally than if times were hard. I don't know. I could be wrong. You guys prove me wrong. Please do. Open my eyes to a new way of thinking. And I'll be interested to know what you guys think. I don't doubt that people are seeing something. And when I look around at where I am, imagining a big cat in these environments, it's not hard to believe. Like, I can actually imagine that. I just, for those reasons that I've already stated, find it hard to grasp. Until I have my own experience, of course. Then things will change completely. But yeah, exciting times. Big cats have been seen more frequently. They've been reported in the news. These are all good things for this channel, because it gives me more things to look out for and explore, investigate, etc, etc. I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, so I'm going to crack on and try and find this balloon. So this is interesting. I don't know what this is, never seen this before. Some kind of mold. Feels like putty to touch, but it's green and almost in a perfect circle. Just resting between these two branches. I have no idea what that is. It's obviously some kind of mold. Something that's growing. But I have no idea. That is such a beautiful sound. The sound of nothing other than nature. Where I am now, where I'm walking, it's cutting through the forest and it's dropping down at the same time into a valley. So I'm kind of in this like dark part of a tunnel, leading through the woods. It's really weird. It's giving me these fae folk vibes, these elfish vibes, because it feels magical. It feels like I'm walking straight through the pages of something out of a book. But as I'm looking around, right, and I'm thinking of these trees, which I always do, I'm a massive, you guys know I'm a huge fan of trees. I love them for some reason. Just feel this really deeply rooted connection, excuse the pun. But here's an interesting fact, okay? So trees live in families. A lot of people don't know this, but trees aren't individuals. And there's a lot of life lessons to be learned from trees, okay? This is one of them. Trees are not individuals. They live in families. They support each other. If this tree here loses a branch, or it becomes infected by a virus or some kind of fungi, the other trees will send minerals and resources through their root system in aid of that tree. How amazing is that? Like, if this tree sets on fire, becomes very badly damaged, the rest of the trees will all chip in to send what they've got in terms of resources and minerals through their roots to help sustain that tree. Trees live in families. They aren't individuals. I think we can all take a valuable lesson from that. Support each other. Become part of a unit. And if you're like me, you know, and you really don't like being around people too much because of anxiety or whatever it may be, you can still support people, right? You can still help lift people up the ladder and promote people to do better. So that's kind of how I do it. Okay, so the problem I'm having now internally in my mind is that I'm purposely going out of my way to be random. Like, I'm just turning off the track, I'm going up a hill through the forest, I'm then cutting down into valleys and I'm pushing through bushes. I'm trying my hardest to be random. I don't know, I'm just clutching at straws here, I'm thinking all sorts, but maybe the fact that I'm purposely trying to be random is what is making this not random. And that could account for a lot of things, you know, like if people are purposely going out looking for Bigfoot or they're purposely trying to track the paranormal, how do we know that that isn't actually a hindrance? Maybe it's the subconscious, maybe it's not having intent that creates the experience. And the opposite to that obviously would be creating intent and purposely going out looking for these things is a hindrance. Who knows? Who knows?
Lily, stay. Lily, stay. Is that a balloon? If that is a balloon, what the hell? One second. I'm going to set the tripod up because I can't lift these rocks with one hand and holding the tripod. So 1 second, but this actually looks like a balloon buried under the rocks, right on the path that I'm walking on. Insane. 1 second. I can't believe it. This is a balloon under a root system. Like, there's no way I can lift that root of the tree. It's a root. Guys, that is a balloon shoved. It's a deflated balloon, obviously, but it's a balloon shoved under the root system of a tree. That surely has to debunk this idea that people are releasing balloons and they're just landing and I'm finding them. Surely
Unless I don't know, like how does a balloon end up under a root? Look at this. It's a full root system. I'm going to be honest, when I first set out with this idea in mind, that me finding balloons was somehow and in some way weird, I didn't really believe it. I know that people around the world are talking about it because they're having similar experiences. I found it intriguing that I always did find balloons off the beaten track, but now, after finding this under a root system, you can see I'm pulling like mad on this. And I don't want to damage it too much, obviously, but that was literally on the path. Way out of my way. And I don't know what to think at this point, other than this is extremely weird.
So here's the root that it was bedded under. There was rocks on top of it that I've moved out of the way. All of this was holding it down. But yeah, clearly a balloon, deflated balloon.
Sorry, I'm just climbing this really steep hill through the forest, and I had this thought that I want to share with you guys because, you know, I'm super happy that not only I found a balloon, but I found a balloon that was clearly embedded and had been for many, 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 many years under a root system, under rocks, under dirt, as opposed to finding a balloon just lying on the surface. Now, you know, I'd have been happy with finding a balloon just on the surface in like, say, some thick, overgrown part of the forest. That'd have been fine by me, but if it was on the surface, you guys would have always maybe thought he could have put it there. That I couldn't have put there. You saw for yourself that that was embedded under a root system, covered by rocks and dirt, and had clearly been there for a very, very long time. In fact, I had to put the tripod down to be able to use two hands to free that balloon. I still don't know how that got there. I still don't know how it's possible. Like, how does a balloon lie in one place that long that an actual root, a thick root, can grow over the top of it and pin it in place? And rocks be on top of it as well. Like, how does that... If we are going down the line of someone releases a balloon on a birthday, it then travels on the air currents and lands in the forest, brilliant. I get that. But even balloons that are snagged in place don't get roots growing over the top of them. They aren't bedded down by rocks and dirt. They're just snagged. And if they're not snagged and they're on the ground, balloons will blow across the floor. They're never in one place for too long. Especially not long enough for a root system to pin it in place. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking way out of the box. Maybe I'm thinking that this is just all... I don't know. Again, I can only speculate. My job isn't to come up with ideas or try to prove or disprove my idea. My only job is to get out here and document the stuff that I find and either debunk it or give it some credibility. Right now, for as hard as I'm trying to debunk this whole crazy balloon theory, it's proving to be the opposite. I've got more questions than answers. Lily's picked up on a scent. She's just been going crazy with her nose in the air. Something up this hill. What is with the whole balloon theory? What are we saying? What are we actually saying here? Are we saying that some unknown creature of unknown origin is using them as place markers? Maybe for points of interest to return to? Or are we saying that there's something more going on here? It's nothing to do with the cryptid side of things. I don't know what the phenomena is. All I can report, like I've said, is what I find. And I know that other people around the world are trying to join the same dots. And I've tried to look at this from a logical perspective. I think the only logical thing to say would be that animals, little furry critters of the forest, are maybe grabbing these balloons and they have an interest. Who knows? We don't know that. I've never seen it on video. I've never seen a video or game cam footage of a squirrel or a badger or a fox or anything like that playing with a balloon. And I've never seen them burying a balloon. So I don't actually know what the phenomena is. Like, are we suggesting that some cryptid is using the balloon as a place marker? That's what I'm asking. Because I have a hard time getting my head around that. But I also have a hard time getting my head around the fact that there is a phenomenon at all regarding balloons, and then I find one wedged under a root system covered with rocks and dirt. It's just right now, I have no idea what it even is that I'm discussing with you guys. Like, that's how weird this is. I was recently sent an email, in a very, very cool email by a guy that used to live here in the UK, but I think he now lives in Sweden. And I've not been given the green light to use his name yet. I have asked in a follow-up email, and if he says it's fine, I can use his name, then what I'll do is I'll credit this guy at a later date for this story. I'm just going to give you the gist of it, not the full email that I received, but basically what he was saying was that while growing up here in the UK, he lived down south. And as a teenager, he used to dabble with Ouija boards and things like that. Him and his buddies used to spend quite a lot of time in cemeteries, ghost hunting, those kind of things. He said that one night when he'd gone to bed, he was awoken by a black dog in his bedroom. They didn't own a dog. They had a black dog in his bedroom, jumping around on the bed, off the bed, and it terrified him. Like, this guy was clearly scared of it didn't make sense. What made this even more fascinating was that the very next morning, his sister told her parents in front of him that she'd seen a black dog. Now, he didn't even know that she'd seen it, but clearly now there's two people corroborating the same story. So that's very, very strange. But what gets even weirder is this next part of the email. This guy said that later on in life, him and his two buddies again were in a cemetery, and they observed a 4-foot tall black dog on all fours running towards the cemetery, then stand up on 2 feet and run bipedally. Now, that is a game changer, right? And this guy said that at the time, he didn't feel scared. Like, I wasn't scared, he said. But more fascinated, more curious as to what the hell this thing was that just stood up on 2 feet and ran towards the cemetery. As he turned to his friends, they'd already left. He was on his own, unbeknown to him. But he later found them in a bush crying. Now, I'll try and get the full email out to you guys once I get permission, because that is a fascinating story. And by itself, if you've heard these kind of things for the first time, bipedal dog man-like creatures, you might think that's just crazy, insane. What kind of drugs are you on? But for someone like me, I hear these stories from a wide range of people from all different walks of life telling exactly that they saw what looked like a dog on 2 feet walking while out on a hunting trip. They've seen just a whole range of bipedal creatures that don't make sense. And so now this one email that come through from this guy isn't a standalone story. It's just one of many thousands of stories from credible people reporting these things. To me, that holds weight. That holds weight. Why is everybody lying? I always think this, right? If I was going to lie, I'd want to stand out. I'd want to stand out from the crowd. I'd want to come out with something so elaborate and fantastical that my story would be the story out of all stories that everybody's lying about. But that's not what we see. What we see is people saying the same things. You've got a whole area to explore of fantastical creatures and beings that you could make up if it was a lie. Why would you just be saying the same as what everybody else is saying if there was no truth to it? That to me has always fascinated me, and it leads me to think that these stories have some credibility. Now, I'm not under any illusion. I do believe that maybe some people during some of those stories have elaborated. And now there's nothing wrong with elaboration. Like, sometimes over time we get little details wrong here and there. But as long as the chunk, the bulk of the story is legit to what you experience, that's all I care about. Time of day really is irrelevant to me at that point, because over years we will lose details like that. It's inevitable. You know, how you felt maybe. People get braver over time. You know, in the moment, we're usually terrified, but after a few years, it's kind of like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Those details to me really don't matter. They don't matter. What matters to me is the bulk of the story. Did you see what you're saying you saw? Yes or no? And I believe a lot of them are telling the truth. I believe a lot of them did see what they're saying they saw. That's how easy it is. That's how easy it is to stay hidden. If you're on a mountain bike trail, are you really looking out for other people in the woods that aren't on the trail? After all, why would someone not be on the trail? This is a mountain bike park, right? And that is something to bear in mind, because a lot of the times people who have experiences are people that don't purposely go out for an experience. They're dog walkers, people on horseback, hikers. And again, they're going to ride right by me and not even know that I'm here. They're oblivious, completely oblivious. And it makes sense. Like, they're not looking out for anyone. They're out here purposely to ride their bikes. Does that make sense? Do you get the point I'm trying to make? I'm trying to make the point of that if there is a creature temporarily visiting these locations for whatever reason, through a porthole, a wormhole, bending time space, slipping through dimensions, however you want to word it, however you want to believe they're getting here, if they are arriving at all, it's so easy to stay hidden because people are not looking out for things like that. Why would you? You've come on your mountain bike to have a good day out enjoying the trails. You're not looking out for creatures in the woods off the trails. And that's why I experience this all the time. Like, I'm walking through and I just stand still. I pause where I am, I don't move, and people go right on by. Very, very rarely do people spot me, but it does happen. It does happen. Eventually, you'll have an inquisitive child that's riding by with their parents, and they may glance up into the forest and see you just stood there. Those children are the ones that will go on to tell the story of maybe some guy stood in the woods, you know, and that's what's happening with these cryptid sightings. It's people out in the woods enjoying themselves, but obviously there'll always be one out of the many hundreds of thousands that are there who inquisitively just chooses to look a different direction or go a different route, come out at a different time of day, and they usually have the experience of something weird that they'll go on to tell forever and ever and ever. That's what happened to me, right? I was on the minibus, I jumped off. How many people before me had stopped at that side of the road? Very few, probably, because it was a random stop. But there again, how many people would have stopped there, then ventured up onto the embankment and looked into the forest where they saw what I saw? Now we're talking, you know, less than 1 in millions. But I did. And I'm the child that is now still continuing to share my story. Just as I've mentioned, the same as those that ride past me do as well. So that's how it works, guys. That's how it works. For those of you that say, how could they stay hidden? They're not trying to stay hidden. But if they are, then we're doomed, because you have no chance. Sometimes all that really is needed is just to remain still. And a lot of people are so enthralled with what they're doing, they're in their own little worlds, that they don't even see you, and that's all it takes. A bit of still and calmness. Just stand still, don't move, don't speak, and people will ride right on by, living their lives. Because people aren't out here looking for cryptids. Right, guys, I would love to stay out all night under the tarp talking to you guys in this hotspot, creepy as hell location. But unfortunately, on this occasion, I haven't brought Lily's food out with me and it sounds like there is a storm on the horizon. I've just heard a huge crash of thunder. The rain started about 10-15 minutes ago, and I'm going to get back home, analyse some of this footage, and just ponder what we found today, because it was quite fascinating. Whether you're a believer or not, there is no denying that that balloon embedded under all those roots, rocks and dirt is weird, right? But as always, like I've said, these are journal entries. These are an intimate insight to the life of an investigator researching strange phenomena. Wherever you are in the world, guys, please do look after yourselves, take it easy, stay safe. And if you can and you're in a position to do so, then please do look after somebody else as well. That's super important, because the quiet ones, the ones that don't ask for help, are usually the ones that need it. And as I say that, the second crash of thunder approaches overhead. So on that note, guys, you take it easy, have a good one, and I'll see you on the next video.